specialty, which is what would happen sociologically, culturally here on planet Earth if we do discover life elsewhere. What's your starting point for that?
Well, yes, that's a huge question, of course, and it is what I'm looking at here during my year as the Blumberg Chair at the Library of Congress. There's been quite a bit of work done on this, surprisingly, and notably in the field of theology. Ever since Copernicus' heliocentric theory came out 500 years ago, there have been sporadic questions about Copernicus made the Earth a planet and the planet's potential Earth. So if there's life out there, how would that affect our theologies? And there's actually a growing field of what's called astrotheology these days, asking exactly that question. And, of course, you have to break it down in terms of which theologies you're talking about. We had a Jesuit here at the meeting whose paper title was, "Would You Baptize an Extraterrestrial?" And, of course, that's looking from the Christian point of view. And his answer was, "Only if the extraterrestrial asked, would you baptize them?" But there has been in the recent decades, more and more discussion about this sort of thing with not complete consensus either. Some people think that you would find some way to embrace this idea of extraterrestrial life because the alternative is extinction. And I think religions are not going to become extinct. They prove themselves pretty, what's the word I'm looking for?
Robust, I guess.
Yes, pretty robust, yes. They stick around.
Pull you up on that a little bit, since we're sort of a secular podcast as well. There are societies and countries which are almost entirely secular. The Danes are essentially a nation of atheists. Australia's pretty secular.
That's right. But of course, the Danes pale in significance to 1 billion Christians, 1.5 billion Muslims, and
we can only hope, Stephen. We can only hope.
Well, yes, and the Eastern religions, I think, would not have as difficult a time as the what so-called Abrahamic religions, Christianity and Islam and Judaism.
Yeah, those big monotheisms would have a lot of trouble, I think. I mean, it's such a fundamental part of their ethos that there is a certain type of people who are chosen, either all people in the world or a particular people from a particular land, and that the universe was basically constructed around them. The creator of the universe had them specifically in mind. If you then realize that the universe is teeming with other living things, what does that do to your theology?
Well, that's right, and you have specific doctrines in Christianity, for example, the incarnation and redemption, so you have to immediately start asking, do you believe in a planet-hopping savior? which I think would be a problem. And some of the theologians have said that, well, they'll find some way around that. Others think that would actually be a big problem. I remember a meeting that we had at the Vatican years ago where this was discussed, and the director of the Vatican Observatory at the time said that he thought this would be a big problem and we should not try and sweep it under the rug.